All right, ladies and gentlemen, no longer here on the solo cast, as I am joined now by Fear Dragon, who is not just a North American lover of all things North American, but also a Protoss player himself, so I'm sure he's tickled pink with these players and this matchup. But with no more than 4 letters in either of their names, in the top left side of the map, we've got the red Protoss, Neeb.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, HuK from Evil Geniuses. We're from the EG Blue.
Okay, so I HuK is. Here's my opinion about HuK before we get into this. I think I want to give this to Neeb. Like, every which way, I think Neeb wins this series. I don't know whether it's 3-1 or 3-0, but HuK is the one guy who always surprises me most. Because we'll have cast 3 or 4 of his matches, and he'll look not great. And then something about that 4th match, boom, he's like a Korean tier god. Like, he's really good at churning it on when he needs to. And if he comes into this series on game 1 playing at that level, I'm feeling it for HuK. But there's 2 things he does not normally do, and one of those is scout, so I'm already surprised and liking the way HuK's playing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like, whenever I watch HuK, I'm always a little bit uncertain. Like, is this the HuK that is going to play some games? I'm going to be like, oh, HuK is not looking very good today. Like, I don't know what's going on. Or is it going to be the HuK that's like, oh yeah, this is like the HuK that I remember everyone loves and everyone cheers for, because he's actually playing so freaking well.
I mean, for those who didn't see, too, by the way, the series he played versus Scarlet, while I didn't get to watch it, the score was 3-1. And Scarlet is somebody who is not too easy to beat. So this is already a great day to start off from. It would be a shame for him to lose the winner's bracket here, but again, for me, just because we've seen so much greatness out of him, I've definitely got to give this one to Neeb. But I would not at all be upset to see HuK win this at all. But that is actually, just before we get into this game, the stress I want to make, it is double elimination. People need to know this. There's a lot of games that are going to be going on for these players, even after they lose up here. So if you're a HuK fan, if you're a Neeb fan, no matter who gets knocked out of this best of 5, they've still got a second chance to make it through.
We do see the Adepts moving out for HuK as well as Neeb. They're going to be meeting in the center of the map, but HuK does have the Mothership Core. Was following with the Mothership Core, not going to do so. And I want to also note that Neeb is going for a proxy gateway, so definitely looking to put on some big one-base aggression.
I love that people love the Frozen Temple intro every time. I am just shocked that a lot of people don't know that that's MC singing, though. Every time someone asks if that's me, I'm like, really, bro? Like, you don't know it? Like, that's so clear.
Dude, just take the compliment and run with it.
Right? I wish I could sing like MC. Now, Neeb's obviously set up something here on the right side. I thought this was going to be for a Robo, but it is going to be Dark Shrine versus Dark Shrine. The difference is one of these players is probably never going to scout it.
But I think HuK moving it over here with these 2 Adepts sees the Twilight Council. And the other thing is, like, a Protoss player knows when a Twilight Council is not researching something, you know that something fishy is going on.
Right, and Neeb's also not gotten over here to scout much. He hasn't seen the Twilight Council of his opponent. HuK's actually getting Blink out, which is curious. But he's also getting a Robo, more importantly, so he'll have detection against Neeb. Now, HuK's setting up a proxy gateway as well. It's a little bit more expensive than proxies in the past, but you need this for those instant warp-ins. And truth be told, I'm not feeling good for Neeb. He's not heading down the direction of any sort of detection. His Robo's finally coming down. I don't think it'll be too late. If he gets an Observer cranked out right away, he'll be okay. But Neeb's going to get his first indication that this is Dark Templar the second he gets to this mineral line. In fact, he doesn't actually see this yet. He doesn't even see the Twilight Council. He's too busy fighting on the front and doesn't know what his opponent's doing.
This is going to be a little bit rough. I mean, it's not going to change his reaction regardless, just as long as he doesn't make a Warp Prism like an Immortal with that first Robotic Facility unit. He is warping his first set of DTs, as is HuK. HuK definitely going to be in a much better position to get some damage done here, though. Well,
it's 1 DT versus 2, and HuK doesn't have an Observer yet either, but he will ideally get one. There we go. Should be out in time. Long and gone are the days where you'd have like 2 Stalkers in the Sentry hold position on a ramp waiting for this DT to come on in, but looks like HuK's going to get quite a few kills. Neeb's going to try and focus on the pylon. Oh my god, is this actually going to cancel the pylon? It is! He's going to buy time! The Observer doesn't spawn! There's going to be 3 pylons coming out of HuK, and I don't know if Neeb can get on top of all of these, but this buys him a ton of time. Meanwhile, HuK also sends his Adepts into the base on this side of the map, so Neeb taking some damage back at home. Overcharge holds this location.
Neeb gets an Observer out, whereas HuK does not have an Observer. He is finally going to repower the robotic facility. An Observer does come out, but so much damage has already been done. I mean, 8 workers killed for HuK, but
Yeah,
Neeb is already still doing damage.
But for Neeb, let's not forget he put an expansion down behind this. So this is actually Neeb very much ahead in this game. It's not by much right now, but it will be in a few moments' time. So for HuK's sake, he's got to get a Nexus down if he wants to compete. And he knows that his opponent has a Nexus as well. He scouted that on his way to the main. So it's unfortunate for him, the situation that he's in, but he's down in Workers, he's down at base, and Neeb's getting Immortals. This is looking very good for Neeb.
I'm actually really curious if we'll just end up seeing HuK try to bust out, 1 or 2 Immortals, get out a couple of Blink Stalkers with that, as he is actually starting to warp in some Stalkers, because he doesn't blink, and that is one thing that Neeb does not have. Now, Neeb spots out the proxy gateway, and he sees Stalkers warping in, so he might know what's going on.
As good as Blink is, and it certainly is, Neeb's already on the path to Immortals. So maybe he bleeds out a couple of probes here, but a Sentry holds the top of the ramp with a Force Field, and HuK can never get the high ground vision to blink. Not if there's an Observer. I guess if the Observer's there, maybe. But the Immortal comes down. It kills the Stalker immediately. The pylon finishes, and that's going to be game. I mean, this was this was such a close to identical build, and this was so close. I don't think I would have predicted Neeb actually picking off that pylon in time. But if HuK had that Observer out, I give that game to HuK despite that Nexus advantage.
Yeah, that was a really smart play from Neeb to immediately identify, Robotic Facility only powered by 1 pylon? No, I don't need to go after probes right now. I can do something better. It just looked like HuK was in a better position, not just a similar position, because he got the scout out. He got up an earlier Robotic Facility. And you also have to, wonder, that Observer was so close to finishing. And you go back and, wait a second. HuK did start that Observer maybe 5 to 10 seconds later than he could have, that a Robotic Facility was finished up. It was you just play that what if game. What if he had just gotten out the Observer immediately? So the Observer was out as soon as the DTs walked in. It's oh man, it's painful. It's the small little couple seconds that can always make the difference.
All right, well, we're getting into Ruins of Endion for the next map. Currently waiting for Neeb. Oh, actually, Neeb isn't here. Excuse me. It's you who's not in here. But yeah, this will be interesting to see how this one goes, especially after the way that first game went. Go, good luck, have fun. It's called. Neeb saying he's ready, so we're just going to hop right into the action, guys. It is, look at press. Going to be the intro. There we go. We'll see you in a sec. All right, hop into game number 2 for the DreamHack Tours qualifier, but also, more importantly, the WCS Regional Challengers, as this all has to do with, I guess, WCS Spring. That's how it's going to be referred to as, the DreamHack Tours tournament. But spawning here on the bottom left side of the Ruins of Endion, we've got the Orange Protoss player currently behind, but it's only one game in a best of 5 so far. It is HuK.
And his opponent down here in the bottom right-hand corner, oftentimes considered the best North American Protoss. Give it up for Neeb.
So that was scary. That game was scary for a lot of different reasons. But again, the fact that they went for such a similar build, executed in such a near identical way, it's impressive that you can have someone get ahead like that. It's that Futurama logic, right? She knows all my moves, so I must have the advantage. No, it's hard to actually get ahead in situations like that. A lot of this can be best simplified to me to explain when you see 2 Adepts meet 2 Adepts in the middle of the map. How does someone actually come out victorious on that? That's a little bit of micro. It's timing out between shots. It's the expertise to do this well. Now, I'm just realizing quickly that not a lot of people are going to be happy that this is orange and red, so my apologies to the colorblind folks. I didn't think about this while we're in the lobby.
Don't you hate the colorblind folk, though, Rifkin?
Isn't
it why you did this on purpose? You selected their colors for them.
So that's the first reaction I would like to make, and I'm surprised you went to it before me, but I always do feel a little bit guilty because I know friends who are colorblind. I've had my life ask them, can you see this color, can you see that, being that guy, and I know how frustrating it is for them to try and differentiate between the two, so I do legit feel bad about it. But 2 gateways apiece, and we're going to see 2 Adept openings out of both players one more time.
I mean, this is absolutely no surprise. The 2 Adept openings are so common. I'm actually a little bit more surprised when I get to see the star. Oh, whoa. HuK actually getting really aggressive with this probe. He really wants to kill off that probe for Neeb, even though he's going to get those Adepts out soon. Kind of a bit of wasted mining there.
So I want to talk about something HuK does, and I'm curious to see if he'll do this game. Oh, yeah. He's going to skip the Mothership corner to get the Stargate out quicker. It feels to me like there's two ways for HuK to play. One is he either gets aggressive with the Mothership core and he'll send it across the map and he'll be the guy picking up probes going for a cheeky recall, or he'll skip it entirely in favor of tech. Now, he doesn't skip it. It's actually Neeb who gets his first, but HuK does follow it up afterwards.
Yeah, HuK is going to be moving on to that Stargate fairly fast, but Neeb moving across the map with the Mothership Core, and this is one of the reasons why, I was saying, like, you know, adepts are very, very common, but this is why the Mothership Core harassment has become really common, where you force out a foot to an overcharge, you get a little bit of damage done, and you actually can force a Stalker out for your opponent.
Yeah, I got a little bit spooky there. One of the problems here when trying to clean up adepts, this is where you need that Mothership Core's damage. They can kill probes so much faster than you can... your adepts will trade out with the other. It's kind of like watching roaches in that regard, right? So we end up having a lot of workers killed, and HuK gets a pretty big lead off of that. 7 probes is a huge deal. And you know what? I'm just checking the vision. I don't think Neeb scouted the Stargate with that Mothership Core. No, he didn't. But he is intuitively going for Phoenix, which is a very smart choice, because if this was Oracle into Phoenix with 7 workers dead, Neeb's lost the game.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult to actually make a comeback in PvP. If you are down in the Phoenix count and you try to go for Phoenix, like, the game just kind of ends after you lose too many Phoenix. But, Photon Overcharge, I'm actually surprised that HuK doesn't continue to chase with his Phoenix. After taking off the shields from your opponents?
It's not going to be in range. I mean, that's the problem when it's the same unit. If it starts off behind, it's not going to get ahead. Both units may be the same speed. But he will have an advantage coming into fights. That Phoenix being low is actually enough, with enough damage on it, that 1 extra shot required to kill HuK, whereas Neeb will lose 1. Picks up these adepts in the middle of the map. Not a huge deal, but free kills are nice and free. Second Stargate comes in out of HuK, so he's going to dedicate to this. Neeb might still throw down a second Stargate. He did take his Nexus a little bit later, so had to prioritize where he wanted those minerals. But, you know, HuK's expansion, it got scouted. Neeb knew the necessity to get his own. And I really am curious if he'll fight this to Phoenix versus Phoenix.
Neeb, I really don't like the idea of trying to fight it Phoenix versus Phoenix right now, just because he is a little bit further behind. And even just kind of having things like, losing the Adept, you don't have exactly that same ground control, because your opponent is also going to come in with a couple of Adepts. It's not just going to be pure 100% Phoenix. It's going to be Adepts mixed in on the ground, and if your Phoenixes are busy fighting your opponent's Phoenixes, the Adepts are just killing your workers, and that actually causes a lot of problems.
Well, one of the cool things I think Neeb's heading towards, and I'm curious what the follow-up to the Twilight Council is going to be, is if you go for Archons, they're one of the very few things, in fact, I think it's the only thing that you can't lift off the ground, because you can pick up Immortals. Colossus is already technically in the sky, like... so, of course, it's going to be a Dark Shrine. A Dark Temple can be cheeky, but they can still be turned into Archons, and to be honest, are a little bit more cost-effective than, say, the Templar versions, because they don't take as much gas, which is nice. But regardless of all this, Neeb did keep up a decent Phoenix count, so he should be able to at least fight HuK a little bit, but he's going to lose the fight. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, this is also the problem. Like, not only is HuK winning this Phoenix fight, but as I was saying, like, there's nothing on the ground to deal with the Adepts.
Yeah, I think I was hoping the Overcharge would have helped a lot more with this. Unfortunately, with this being the case, all the Adepts are going to kill everything in the main. Phoenixes have nothing to contest them. They can actually kill these last 2 Phoenix of Neeb, then pick up the Stalkers if they'd like, just completely remove them from the equation. They do get a decent shot off at the very end, but this is a nice cancel control out of HuK. He doesn't actually let the Adepts go through, so the probe is being wasted for Neeb. You know, the longer he's not mining, the worse this gets. He's 1,000 minerals behind every single minute that goes on. GG's going to get caught, and HuK ties it up 1-1.
Well done from HuK. I guess just it's a lot of, I think, talking about the small things, because you're talking about that in game number 1, like the small little differences when they were going for similar builds, and I would say it's the same thing here, where it's those small little interactions where, HuK actually managed to get that pick off on that extra Adept. He manages to Photon Overcharge and knock away one of his opponent's Phoenixes, like, early on, and do even a little bit of damage. Like, it's all these small little edges that kind of give him the advantage, and of course that allowed him to, like, safely just go for a double Stargate play.
We're currently missing out on Neeb right now. He may have gone to go look at the replay, as he has done a couple of times. So, I'll leave you to be on color duty, dude, if players are the same color.
Duty.
I'm going to leave it to you to notice.
Okay.
With HuK BRBing, by the looks of it, and Neeb checking out replays, we're going to go to an ad break, guys, and we'll be back here as quick as we can for Game 3. All right, good guy, BaseTradeTV doing what we do best, guys, and that's not abusing the ad break. So we did have the players ready up a little bit quicker than we expected. As we get into game number 3 here, so the ads are cut short, and thank you for watching them, those who did. Spawning in the upper left side of Coral Carnage Knockout We'll, again, explain the funny spawn locations in a moment, but it is going to be the blue Protoss player, HuK, who's just tied up the series 1-1.
And in the bottom right-hand quadrant, we have the red Protoss player, Neeb.
Now, again, if you want to think of this map, the best way to do it is probably in quadrants of 4. Just consider each map has been cut into like a section of 4, and then it's, in that terms, kind of almost like cross-spawn only is the best way I can describe it. But it is 8-player spawn map. Neeb could have spawned here, here, or here according to HuK, and HuK, of course, could have spawned here, here, or here according to Neeb.
That's actually, so it's so interesting because I've heard people say that, but I've also heard people say that it's only the first two that you pointed out. The place where Neeb is spawned and the one directly across from him.
Over here?
Like in that bottom right-hand side, yeah.
And I misspoke with HuK, whether the fourth one would be up here, or the third one would be over here. But the nice thing that Blizzard does that we don't get to see, but the players do, is you do get little red pings on the map, so you at least know where the base locations are, and you won't be scouting off in over here, or somewhere quite so strange. So again, the best way I can think to try and describe it is if you look at the map in terms of quadrants, this map is only cross-spawn or only vertical in that regard.
Yeah. I had a really fun time the first week on the ladder where people legitimately, I would go watch the replay and they would actually be scouting every single base.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's adorable.
I've seen that too in some of the games I've been playing. But I think actually, just think of an easier way to simplify this. If you consider, even though they're not, if you consider each of these bases as the mains, it makes it a lot easier to actually explain cross versus horizontal spawn locations. So, I mean, they're the natural bases, but it's probably more identifiable. Now, HuK is actually going to come against Neeb, who's doing something differently this game. HuK's still going for the 2 adepts, and that's cool. But HuK's actually... HuK's going for the 2 adepts, excuse me. But Neeb's going for a sentry, which I find incredibly interesting, because it's not large enough to knock... Like, it cannot lock off one ramp spot. You'll have to actually build some SimCity around it. Over here, I guess maybe he wants to knock down the rocks, and maybe this is enough damage. Yeah. It's only 500 health.
I'm not sure. I don't know if he's going to be able to get this in time.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, if this actually knocks it down, this is the greatest wall off, and he doesn't have to worry about any adept harass whatsoever. But
it has to knock it down not just before the adepts get there, it's before the shades get through. And yeah, the shades get through easily. And now the sentry, I think, is going to be a really vulnerable unit.
Well, maybe not, though. It'll die to the adepts really quick, for certain. But a Guardian Shield can help a ton when it comes to stopping the adepts from getting a lot of extra damage in, and the overcharge is certainly going to be scary. I mean, this is so strange to look at, because who does this, right? Like, HuK's the first person we see try and do this. HuK is also, Neeb's the first person we try to do this. HuK's also trying to get a pylon behind this too, so he wants to be able to continue proxying a little bit later on. And Neeb has no reason to scout up there for a significant amount of time. But Neeb almost had this wall down, and if he did, that would have been really, really awesome.
Oh, I think Neeb is actually, with the proxy gateway, this is definitely going to be looking to be aggressive. He's been chrono boosting out his Cybernetics core almost this entire game so far, so this is just a straight up 4-gate coming out from Neeb. From HuK. Between
the similar gameplay of that first map, between the Phoenix Advantage and the second map, in the first game of this series, we commented saying, is HuK going to be that guy who comes here and plays like he's on fire? Is he going to have that ferocity to win? And everything is telling me yes so far, including and especially this gateway.
Oh, but having the rocks knocked down is going to buy a lot of time, because now HuK has 4 stalkers trapped on the outside. He can warp into the high ground, but he needs to time this out right.
Here's the thing, though. He's actually got enough stalkers inside to fight with. Like, this sounds so silly to say, but he could actually take on the 2 stalkers that are defending out here. I think Neeb has 4 in total. Yeah, and a sentry. But he actually doesn't have a huge advantage.
There's no pylon. There's no pylon on the low ground.
Neeb's also going to knock down these rock towers. A little bit worried. This actually is a pretty big timer for HuK. He's got to get down there now with these units, or they'll be locked off for a very long time. Of course, these rocks are still being chipped away at, so once those reinforcements come in, HuK's army supply is going to literally double. He wants to be able to take out these pylons so the Mothership Core can't overcharge anything. Unfortunately, going to have to sacrifice this Nexus at this rate, but this isn't looking good for Neeb. HuK looking fantastic here in Game 3.
Neeb is going to get trapped in between the 4 stalkers on the top side as well as the stalkers on the bottom side. There's not going to be any room for Micro over here. He's trying to retreat out, but he's losing so many units in the process.
Yeah, with the Immortal, he's going to knock down the cooling tower, but losing the base, I don't know if it'd be worth it. HuK continues to push up into this. This is scary for Neeb because the Immortal's got a lot of damage, but it's one single unit. Barrier's already been popped, so that's on cooldown.
Yeah, and Immortal does manage to survive a little bit longer. Neeb needs to make sure that he doesn't overcommit over here. This natural expansion is almost guaranteed to go down. It's about Neeb being able to stay in this game for a little bit longer, build up that Immortal count.
I mean, I really think the Immortal count's going to win in an army fight, especially with those rocks being torn down. He'll be able to buy himself some time. No high ground vision for poor HuK here, who's going to get these adepts probably denied. There's no reason to actually let those complete. He'll tear through this, though, eventually. That's the thing. There's no nexus for him behind this. He's still investing pretty heavily into this 3-gate attack. Neeb's trying to get the production down to match this. He's actually supply blocked, losing those pylons and the nexus on the low ground.
Yeah, I like the fact that HuK isn't going to try and bust up over here, because he knows, you know what, Neeb has those sentries. It's actually going to be really difficult to actually bust up here. In fact, I wouldn't even hate it if HuK even considered grabbing a sentry or two, but he does want to transition. He can't really afford to go for all this and build his expansion and get up tech.
But he can at least soft contain for the time being, and this will not be too bad for him. He can also go around and try threaten from the north side, too, but... we missed a resub shout out, and we'll get this caught up real quick. Billy987 Bob resubbed for 4 months earlier. John Furness hit up with 11, and of course Jehovah just now with 5 months. Thank you guys for all coming back to the channel. We've just had quite a bit of action going on with this PvP, and funny enough, this PvP is like the one PvP that hasn't gone the direction of disruptors, but this time we might just see it with the robo coming down. Neeb, by the way, choosing to expand this direction is kind of cute. I don't know that HuK would actually check this. It's so just... It's one of those things that's just out of you don't think about it directly. I think if he took 2 seconds to think, he'd think, oh, this is actually potential for him to expand that direction. But not here. That's not the case. The Warp Prism's actually a bit dangerous being on the front lines like this. Almost goes down. The Immortals have their barriers pop. They're going to trade out for a lot of Stalkers before going down. But that Warp Prism, are you serious, has the range to pick that up? Are you for real, Fear Dragon?
I mean, 6 range is the same range of the Stalkers, so it can pick it up actually almost barely safely. Just could... very, very lightly be tapped, I suppose, but really, really well played over there from Neeb. Loses 1 Immortal, which does kind of sting. The other Immortal getting very, the Warp Prism getting very low on health, but overall, I think just trading out like that and keeping HuK honest is going to be a really, really good play for Neeb. So
this is pretty important that Neeb almost fakes trying to take this base. He knows that HuK has Warp in somewhere. I'm surprised he doesn't go over to try and knock down the pylon at least, but... If he shows HuK that he's trying to expand this direction, then HuK will have no reason to ever check this base. Now, this is still, I'd say, a fairly well-protected base. It's close to the main. Reinforcements can walk over at their own leisure. You'll have the Mothership Core nearby for an overcharge.
Yeah, but HuK finally hallucinates a Phoenix and scouts out this base, so he knows that he's on even bases now. Now, neither of these 2 bases are too far apart from each other, and there is a small little work advantage right now for HuK, but overall, I can see this really transitioning out to the later stage of the game, but I think this is going back to what you were saying earlier, where it is that player that has the Disruptors out, is starting to get them in mass, has the Immortals, but HuK going for the Stargate play.
1 Disruptor Shot can kill so much money. Like, it's weird to consider that for Protoss. Like, we all know that innately Protoss units are stronger because they're more expensive. But the fact that Disruptor Shot can take out so many of them just emphasizes how cost-effective it can be in some situations. The Warp Prism lives, but I'm not sure if that really matters. HuK's actually going for a Void Ray behind this, which is kind of curious to see. I'm actually really interested because you're never going just Disruptors. You're going lots of Blink Stalkers with it. Like, I can't imagine... This'll
the thing is, like, the Void Rays still do pretty well against even Stalkers. Like, the big important thing is that you get out Immortals and you get out the Void Rays. And this is something actually, even Scarlet at Kings of the North was doing this sort of style, get out Immortals and Void Rays. And she was actually beating out, like, top GM players with that style.
I was going to comment on there's no Blink on these Stalkers. I assumed it even gotten Blink at some point, but it's just Stalkers. So this Void Ray might not be too bad. Oh, but HuK...
Oh my god, but that was a really good hit over there. And
yeah,
I don't think that HuK has enough.
That was the strength of the Disruptors. There's really not a lot of commentary to add to that. Just one of those very explosive, very dangerous units. I mean, it's a mid-late game Baneling, essentially. GG. As Neeb will take a lead now in this series 2-1.
Yeah, I think the big thing to talk about, like, with the Void Ray play is that when you go for that Void Ray play, it's one of those situations where it's kind of like where you're going for tech. It's like you can imagine you're going for Psystorm or something. You're getting up that tech, and until you get out that tech, until you get out a decent number of the Void Rays, you're going to be vulnerable to, like, just a straight-up attack like Neeb did. And I think that's kind of what we saw. We saw Neeb basically say, like, okay, I'm going to go for an attack. Oh, you're teching up too much.
Okay, we go. Prion Terrace is going to be the next map. Thank you, Quadsi, for the 13-month resub. 13. That's over a year, and I can't say your name. How special do you feel right now? Thank you for coming back.
Quadakai?
Quadaki, Quadap-me, Quadaku. Let's get HuK and Neeb into this lobby. Of course, you and I need to be spectators.
No, we could play against each other.
Yeah, but I don't think that'd be very fun for the stream to watch you lose a bunch.
I don't know.
Hey, this guy plays a couple of games. He's cocky as hell. His name's Rifkin. Thank you. I'll be here all night. Okay, but Panteras are both ready. Let's hop into it. We got the intro to play. It's Gold Base Bonanza. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys here in just a second for game number 4. Mate, why the fuck are you talking during the map intro?
Sorry?
You're
usually...
You're not even talking, you're like mumbling. I've never muted anybody during map intros ever.
Damn it.
So thank you for just being garbage. God. No, but I'm sorry. What were you saying? I couldn't hear. On account of the awesome map intros.
No, I was saying Peely Peely actually ended up... He's tied up 1-1.
Oh, great. Somebody we're not casting. Fantastic. Thanks for interrupting the map intro for it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm just kidding. I'm giving you shit. I love your favorite jacket. But guys, it is game number 4 here in... So Peely Peely... I'm sorry. I was actually trolling before. Peely Peely what?
Oh, Peely Peely's tied up 1-1 versus Masa, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, not bad. Cool. We'll see how that goes. In the bottom right side of this map, though, it is going to be the Red Protoss. He's currently on his last life here in the Winners bracket. It's going to be none other than the Red Protoss HuK.
And his opponent's setting up 2-1. Give it up for On Fire's Need, the Blue Protoss.
And it's not showing up on the overlay, but Jabberwacker just reset for 2 months as well. So quick thank yous to you, sir. But this is so crazy to me. Like HuK, he had the good moves last game. He had the cool tactics. I really enjoyed getting aggressive on a big map where you expect passive play. But at the same time, Neeb, like right off the get-go, had that cool idea of knocking down the rocks with a sentry and a stalker. Like, what is that? I mean, had that successfully gone off, maybe there wouldn't have been any problems whatsoever, and it would have had smooth sailing to a victory. But HuK really did give him a lot of trouble early on, knocking down that Nexus. I mean, a lot of the tactics we just saw employed over there, well, it was in funny proxy, it could still be applied here on Preon Terraces. That gold base really does encourage all-ins.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing double adepts coming out of both of these players, though. No stalkers coming out. I mean, this map takes a really long time to get your Magic across the map, and it's a very vulnerable journey, so definitely a lot more acceptable to just go straight up to those adepts. But I'm kind of curious. In the last game, we ended up seeing HuK continuously chrono boosting out that warp gate technology, and it kind of signaled the aggression to just constantly have warp gate chrono boost. And I'm wondering, he's already chrono boosting it out pretty early on. Is this going to lead to aggression again?
I don't know, man. Like, the chrono boost is in a funny spot. Like, it's not as strong as it used to be, so leaving it on any building is not that big of a deal. But at the same time, it is faster. It is worth noting. I can't say that nowadays I see a warp gate or a chrono on warp gate, and I'm like, wow, this is such a big freaking deal. I actually think what Neeb's doing is kind of cute. It's the third adept to get an advantage over these two. Excuse me, the fourth one, I guess, now in this situation. You know, chroning that out to catch up. Now he's got an absolute guaranteed win if it comes to an adept fight.
Yeah, he's also following this up with a Stargate behind it, whereas HuK did go for the Twilight Council straight into a Dark Shrine that is being proxied. Or no, the Dark Shrine's not being proxied. He's just proxying on Pylon. These adepts, though, going to be able to shade on into HuK's base. They're making their way straight past the entire army of HuK, and HuK is going to be pretty out of position. He's going to have to really rely on the Photon Overcharge, but as you were saying, 4 adepts, they managed to do a little bit better against this. Yeah,
it's not enough, though, to be that devastating, and truth be told, Neeb can get these out of here. HuK really shouldn't have... loses another adept, which is unfortunate, but starts to walk away. Might lose one of his adepts here, actually, to the Stalkers, but gets a probe for it, too. HuK, who did proxy on the other side of the map and not taking a natural base, though. You talked about aggression. This is going to be Blink, and this is going to be Dark Templar. This is going to be all kinds of messy if HuK gets units on the field. Now, he does take a base, but... it's a little bit behind Neeb's. I don't know if Neeb's actually going to have enough time to mine efficiently enough to get a lead off of this gold. Now, what he did see with that attack was, of course, the Dark Shrine building. So the Oracle sits on top of the ramp. It's waiting to cast Revelation. Detection won't be the issue here for Neeb. But HuK very well may take those DTs, turn them into Archons, make a couple more Blink Stalkers behind it, and have a grand old time. That Void Ray is not a bad choice either, considering the low stakes of units early on. But again, I think an Archon for HuK can do so much.
Yeah, but he's not going to be going for it for now. He's just going to deny a bit of mining over this natural expansion, which, you know, it's going to work out well. He's getting up his own natural expansion behind this. He just needs to make sure that he has an escape route, because you have to remember, Neeb is going to continue to warp in over here, and if HuK isn't careful, at least the Stalkers are almost going to be guaranteed to die. Well, here come in the Stalkers from the backside, though. HuK trying to find an escape route, trying to do a little bit more damage over here.
If there's one thing HuK's really good at, it is actually control the game. I know there's sarcasm, there's jokes to be made, but if Blink was finished right now, this would look very different for him. Unfortunately, with Blink still being a few seconds out, doesn't take the greatest start to this fight and bleeds out quite a few Stalkers. But 3 more being warped in at a time, closely here to the front lines. You know, the Void Ray is going to have Prismatic Alignment on cooldown, so it's actually not going to be that effective. It's going to be a lot of extra damage for sure, but it's not going to melt Stalkers like it normally would.
Oh, Immortal rallied in a bit of a weird place. Neeb actually could have gotten into the fight a little bit earlier, but it looks like it's not going to matter. HuK doesn't decide to aggressively push in.
I don't know that HuK has enough to keep this up. He does match probe counts right now. They're both on gold bases. HuK's actually saturated a little bit better than Neeb's. But, oh, this Oracle might just change that Mothership course right there.
I don't think HuK is trying to keep up like too much of this aggression. He's only sitting on 3 warp gates.
Meanwhile, Adepts do make it to the main, and an Overcharge or 2 is going to try and make sure they don't get out of hand, but there's a little bit of a sweet spot that could sit behind those mineral lines. I think he was hoping this would draw the army out of position and could have blinked elsewhere. We have an Observer on the way too, so while right now this is the only possible path of attack for a blink, if there's 2 Immortals and a Void Ray over here, there's nothing guarding the main, and HuK just might be able to blink over to that right side instead. A little bit scary though for Neeb, because he doesn't know where HuK's attacking from, and he has to be in position ahead of time, or else it gives the Stalkers time to have blink come off cooldown, and as we're going to see, they're going to blink up here, snipe the Mothership core.
Ooh. That's a really nice pickoff. Can they actually get the pylon power in the robotics facility?
There's like 3 pylons on it. But the thing is, it's going to blink off cooldown so it can blink away. Tries to pick off the Observer. Doesn't quite work for him. Neeb actually does clean this up, so there's not going to be any more high ground blinks for now. This one Stalker stuck on that middle edge.
At least he can blink up there. But during a lot of that aggression earlier on, we did end up seeing the Oracle move on in from Neeb, got a couple of worker kills, forced out a foot to an Overcharger or 2, and ended up surviving and backing off. It's up to 7 kills now, so even though HuK has been able to do a little bit of damage here and there, he's actually still sitting behind in workers just because of that damage he's been taking from that Oracle.
Yeah, I do like this cool attempt out of Neeb, though, with the Warp Prism. We'll see if this gets anything done. The funny thing is, though, HuK could warp in 1 defensive DT and pretty easily handle this. The Adepts in the main could also provide vision for the Stalkers to blink up if they want to come help this, but HuK's not looking to invest in that right now. I am curious what direction he plans to take this, though, because back at home, it's kind of stagnated a bit. He's going for more gateways, and maybe he wants to all-in it, but right now, there really is no opportunity for anything else.
Oh, this is actually a huge problem right now. He's going to try and warp in a couple units, but he's dealing with not only the Oracle harassment that forced out some one of the Fortune overcharges, but these Adepts are doing an absurd amount of damage. 14 workers killed so far. Yeah. We're down to 25 workers for HuK.
He is trying to take a third, though, and if you get 2 bases saturated, I mean, your mains are getting low. You don't need that many probes right now to saturate 1 full gold base, but that's going to be enough for HuK to tap out. GG gets called. So that's going to be Neeb taking the series 3-1. Congratulations to him. Not a single PvP that involved a lot of Blink Stalkers and Disruptors, but we did see that one amazing Disruptor hit that showed us the power of Disruptors.
Made up for all the lack of Disruptors throughout the entire series. We saw exactly 1 shot, and it was the perfect shot.
Yeah. For us, though, I need to figure out what we're doing next. What's up next?
Well, for those who are wondering, of course, Neeb is going to go on to face off versus the winner of Pili Pili versus Masa, and most people would have actually said
probably not till tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, it may be tomorrow, but that is like going to be the next match, I should say. I think that actually the European bracket, I think they did play out that series.
So the thing is, the European bracket, though, has always been different than the North American bracket in format, so I don't know if it's the same. They may have changed it to match it this time, but for example, last one, for the winter qualifiers, they did it. So If it's the semifinal, I'm going to find that out. We're going to go to a break, and I'm going to find this information out from the admin. If we're lucky, it'll be the semifinals tonight, which will be awesome. If not, that'll be saved for tomorrow, and we'll go to the losers bracket. But we'll find out shortly, and we'll see you guys after this break. So stick around. We'll see you soon.